Welcome to the Business Technology Podcast, where we simplify tech for business owners who don't have time to waste. I'm Scott.
And I'm Alec.
Every week, we break down practical tools, smart strategies, and real-world stories that help your business work better. Let's dive into today's episode. We had a couple clients ask us, hey, what's your stance on cyber insurance?
Yeah.
So we figured we could get together to talk about it and put all of our knowledge and our thoughts together on the topic. So cyber insurance is exploding in popularity, but many MSPs are discovering their claims don't get paid. So in this episode, we're going to explain why. We're going to share some of those denial stories from real SMBs, and we're going to outline what business leaders must do to actually be protected. So let's go ahead and dive in. We did some research. We found a couple of different stories about when cyber insurance didn't pay out specifically. And we found this one company in the Midwest, I won't name names, it was a mid-sized manufacturing firm that suffered a ransomware attack in 2024. The way they did that is the attackers got through with like an old VPN account. It didn't have multi-factor authentication on it, so they bought the credentials off the dark web, whatever it was. The ransom they demanded was $750,000. But then the downtime they lost also cost the company another $400,000. I think it was like 2.5 weeks. So the company filed a cyber insurance claim, but the insurer denied the payout because the business had attested that MFA was in place on its renewal form, which maybe it was for some of the services, but it specifically wasn't on this old VPN account. And for those who aren't familiar with a VPN, that's like when you need to remote into your office and you're not there, you need to access like something on your server, some files. That's kind of what that was used for. Virtual private network VPN, blah, blah, blah. So the IT team had rolled out like a version of MFA for all the email and all the payroll, but had missed this old VPN connection. So that's why they were denied.
Interesting.
So it could literally just be one unchecked box on your cyber form. That means they don't pay out. So like these insurers are very, very literal about their controls when it comes to like multi-factor authentication, endpoint protection, patching, right? All the things that the IT person says they're doing, but like maybe they're not, and maybe you're going to fall victim to one of these attacks. So for those of you who don't know, like what is cyber insurance? You know, basically a non-technical explanation of it. It's like car insurance for your business's data and systems. So if you crash, which in our terms is like a breach, all the legal defense, the actual ransomware response and payout, and the lost revenue, that's kind of supposed to what's
covered
essentially. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy. So the average demand, 43% of the cyber attacks targeted small businesses. And here's the scary one. According to the U.S. National Cybersecurity Alliance, 60% of those SMBs, small medium businesses, who suffered a major attack were out of business within 6 months.
Wow.
So, I mean, with an average demand being $750,000 and the average downtime costing $140,000 a day, it's, you know, it makes sense why it's taking out 60% of the businesses who suffer from that.
So it's almost imaginary being one of those things where it's going to be more costly not to have the insurance than to just sit and hope, be like, oh, our company's not going to be hacked. We're not important. We're not X, Y, or Z. But you're saying those are the people that are actually getting targeted, the ones who assume because they're small and medium businesses that, again, they have, well, next to no protection and defenses around them. And like you probably mentioned, they don't have the funds needed to stay alive over, what was it, 6 months that you mentioned? 60% of them go out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's crazy. There's all types of attacks. I could talk about another one. There's an accounting firm that actually started working with us after this happened, but they fell victim to like an email compromise in 2023. But basically they were able to impersonate one of the managing partners and was able to like trick one of the staffs into wiring $150,000 to someone else. You know, it's like, hey, I'm a CFO, you got to get this done right away, right? There's a sense of urgency. There's like legitimacy. Hey, this is my boss's email. Like, why would I even question it? Should I, I'm not even going to text them and verify, was this true? Because like they've done this before, or I've done wire transfers. It's no big deal. So they literally just thought it was just another regular old thing. So when they found out, this firm, they filed under its cyber policy, but they were also denied, which is pretty crazy. So you want to know why? They categorized the loss as a voluntary transfer of funds, which was an exclusion in the fine print of their cyber insurance, because they voluntarily did that and the cyber criminal was able to use social engineering to trick them. Their claim was denied, which is like crazy to me. So they ended up absorbing the loss, but it really kind of hurt their reputation with clients. They're still trying to build that back, and we got them in a much better place now. But not only are you losing revenue from the downtime, like what if you have a bunch of employees that can't access their system? I mean, how many days of downtime can you truly afford? But your reputation, I mean, you don't hear about a lot of ransomware attacks, cybersecurity incidents to small and medium businesses, because one, it's embarrassing, and it's like you're not going to talk about it. You don't want to be in the paper. It's also just not a very like sexy or hot news topic to talk about. And people think I'm too small. It's not me. But once it happens to you, you're going to feel it then. Okay, so there was a report that said that it was by Portnox. 40% of claims have been denied in the last year alone. So that means these insurers are really tightening the requirements. The MFA I was talking about, making sure that it is across the board, actually testing human tested backups, not just saying like, oh yeah, we got this backup, we got the green check mark, but is a human testing it if it works. Endpoint protection, are you actually putting that on all devices? If you have employees accessing email on their personal devices, tablets, phones, there needs to be some protection in place and some mobile device management on that as well. So premiums are going up and up. I think in the last 2 years alone, they've gone up over 40%, and the coverage is getting worse and worse. So it's like, essentially, it's like if a car insurance refused to pay you for your stolen car because you left the doors unlocked. It'd be kind of like the same thing. So if you want to weigh the risks versus the actual cost, we kind of did some research, got a couple different quotes, and for like a 50 to 100 person business, you're only looking at like 10,000, maybe 15,000 insurance premium a year to cover your business. So it's kind of like a no-brainer. $750,000 average attack versus $10,000 a year to keep my business up and running. I mean, it really, I'm not an insurance salesman,
Yeah.
but like to me, the numbers really make sense. Just not only to have like a stellar IT team and cybersecurity framework to keep your business out of harm's way and making sure that all the risks and all the holes are plugged, but in case something is catastrophic and truly does break and you've actually put the protection in place that your insurance requires, well then, like you'll be good. Like you can have peace of mind. You can be that business owner that doesn't have to worry about like someone reading an email that wasn't from you, that looked like it's from you, and now you're $150,000 poorer. That's what we want to really try to avoid. One thing I also researched in one of the stories, I found that social engineering scams like phishing or CEO fraud are typically not covered. So you have to buy an additional rider in your plan to get that coverage. But it's the most common type of attack is like social engineering. So you're essentially getting a bunch of information from the CEO so that you can impersonate them because you know enough about them to trick the rest of your employees that like, hey, this is a legit request, whether they're spoofing your voice, it's an email, or, it's a simple email like, hey, do this transfer. But those aren't going to be covered. Like if someone tricks you, which is like how ransom attacks happen, they trick users into clicking and doing things they knew they shouldn't have done. Like those aren't covered. So you may argue like there really isn't any coverage. Like, shouldn't I just protect myself? But it's like, even if you have all the protections in place and all the backups and all the right security, your IT provider is still going to want you to have that insurance plan. Just cover it as many ways as you can. In a world where technology is constantly evolving and we have AI tools and cyber criminals and cyber threats are getting more and more advanced, you should just kind of future pace yourself and your business and just kind of look at the future and say, hey, I should consider a plan.
And is there anything that you would recommend to those business owners who, may be listening to this, agreeing that they have their, cyber policy, but they kind of feel like maybe one of those previous stories where, okay, we have, multi-factor authentication on the majority of these applications, but this one, no, or whatever it may be. What can these business owners do to kind of go through their policy to ensure that if something were to happen, they have a better chance than 40% of a policy being paid out?
Great question. Yeah, so basically treat insurance like a compliance. It's not like a magic safety net. So number one, that action step, make sure you do have MFA, you do have human tested backups, making sure you have endpoint security. Like, look at all your applications, talk to all your employees. Are any of them accessing tools that you use that don't require a two-factor authentication? So that audit of your software and tools maybe can be done by the owner, maybe can be done by your managed service provider or IT partner. But looking at every single thing, looking at all the applications installed, every web app and tool that the company uses, you can't let anything go without MFA. And I tell everybody, even in their personal life, if you're signed up for a new tool or service and they don't offer MFA, you probably shouldn't use that tool at all. MFA should be on every single tool you touch, your banking, your personal email. And if you don't have MFA on your personal email, please set that up right now. There's too many people that have lost access to their email account. Threat actor then reset all of their social media and banking passwords and gained access to their whole identity, their whole digital identity, essentially. So that's the second step. And just document everything. Like, what policies do you have? Do you have, how do you test for these human backups? Like, how are you training all your new employees to spot a phishing scam or to actually question, like, hey, this doesn't look right. Why is there this sense of urgency? Why does my IT department say I need to reset my password right now? And if they're not trained on that, they're going to fall victim to these types of attacks, which again are very complicated. It takes like nerds like me to help other businesses put the precaution, put the provisions in place to prevent against it. So yeah, just audit your own environment like before the insurers do. They're going to give you a cyber insurance, like a cybersecurity checklist. Go through it with a fine-tooth comb. It's really, it's only as good as you execute it in your business. So if you think like, oh yeah, I think I have MFA or I think I'm doing backups,
trust but verify.
It's not going to be good enough. All right, so when you go out there and you're assessing your new cybersecurity insurance plan, just look for a couple of these items. So maybe sure to watch out for like vague exclusion language. So like I was talking like the social engineering scam not falling victim, or like MFA not being enabled, not being covered, and payouts not being covered. They're going to have some language in there. You really have to try to find out what that is and then add an additional rider for those things like social engineering, phishing, and MFA. If they are available. So there's some cheap plans I've seen, but you want to make sure that those exclusions, which are like the most 3 common types of attacks, aren't in your plan, which is kind of like shady in my opinion. And then make sure that you understand what the notification window is. There's some insurance companies that require you to notify them within 48 hours. So I've also seen that cause issues because they went away on holiday, right? They maybe had a 2-week office closure during the holiday season. That was when the threat actor went and infiltrated the network. They lost access to everything, but they didn't know until they came back in the new year. Everything's locked down. They reported it. Hey, sorry, looks like you guys have been without access. We haven't had any new record since the 12th of December. So, you guys were supposed to report it, and unfortunately, we're not going to cover it. That would be completely ridiculous. But those kind of terms are put into the policy. And then just consider this like a real exercise to prove your readiness. It's like I said, it's not just like it's not a safety net. It's literally a checklist for you to go through and understand where the vulnerabilities and risks are in my business. It's only a tool to help you, and if you can't get through it, you got to find someone who's an IT provider in your area that can go through it for you. So they're going to make sure you're set up and protected. You can focus on what you do well, and if shit hits the fan, you'll still have an insurance policy to cover you, and with the right steps in place, they're going to pay out as well. So thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you got some value on this little tip on cyber insurance for your business and whether you should have it and how you'd get set up with it. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. So that's it for today's episode of the Business Technology Podcast. Our goal is simple: to be your go-to resource for all things business technology. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you'd like more information about ITS, you can find us on Instagram at ITS Telecom, or you can find us on LinkedIn at Integrated Telemanagement Services. Both are linked in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on a later episode.